I'm back in our demo site, and this time we're going to use lines to give a more bespoke look and feel to our web page designs. I could add it into this text block here, and I think we'll start with this really simple line effect. So I go to Add Block, and then we choose the Line tool on this right-hand side here. Once we've added it, it'll just drop it in, and then we can move it into the position that we want. And then it's just a case of adjusting it to take up the number of blocks. So in this case, we're looking at either 2 or 4 to get it nice and equidistant either side of that middle line. So that's just how we can do a little accent line below our introductory text. If we double click on it, we can see that there's minimal editing for our lines. We've got the option to align it vertically to the middle, top or bottom. And we can pin it, so as we scroll down through the page, that locks in place. It's not a tool I've used a huge amount at the moment, and I'm going to do a standalone tutorial showing how we can use the pin tool, which is relatively new in Squarespace. We can delete it via the red trash can, or we can duplicate that line. So once we've got an effect that we're happy with, if we want to re-add it to multiple blocks in that section, we can duplicate it. And then we got 3. But in this case, I'm just going to keep the one line underneath that welcome text. But let's look at how we can use more advanced lines within our content. So here I'm going to add in a text block. I'm just going to put some placeholder Latin text in just to get us going. And let's duplicate this text block multiple times. So now we have a 3-column breakdown. Okay, I could go through and tweak it if I wanted a little bit, just so it's not exactly the same length on each one, to give it a more realistic look and feel. There we go. I can reduce the bottom of these text blocks up, so that we don't have any issues with them overlapping the lines as we add them in. And I could bring them down. I might even put in a heading. And let's just choose it as a heading 4. I should have done this beforehand. It would have just saved me some time. I've just copied that heading text and I pasted it in on all 3 blocks. Now we could add in a line above and below each block. And this is where I'm going to recommend we do it a slightly different way. As this is placeholder text, we're going to remove the other 2 columns and we're just going to focus on the one. And the reason for this is once we've got one block completed, we can replicate that, just duplicate it across twice. So we can select multiple items to duplicate and bring them across. So there we go. 3 columns with dividing lines above and below. Of course, we could go into Edit section, go into the gaps, and we can widen the gaps between each block as well. If we wanted to look more spacious, that's one thing we can do. Likewise, we can move this down, and if we wanted to add in an image, let's just add an image from our library. And we'll go for that menu option. So a way of adding signposting in place, we might have to just do a little bit of adjustments to get it to fit. And of course, this image isn't currently filling the frame. So it's set to fit at the moment. We can change it to fill. And then we've got that line at top and bottom as an accent. Say we wanted to change it a little. What we can do is add in a new text block for heading. Keep it as a heading 4 as well. This time we can align it to the bottom to give it some breathing space, or maybe even the middle of that block. And we're going to delete the heading from here. And when I press backspace, sometimes it will think you want to make that a heading. It hasn't done it in this case, so all good to go. And now we can add the line in where we want to. For example, we can add an extra block spacer there and then bring our line in between our heading and the content below. This is where we may want to align our heading to the bottom, or even reduce the height of the heading block, depending on how we want to format it. That's a little bit tight for my liking, it's too close. So we're going to move that down And we can try a couple of other options as well, like having more space there, but in fact, I think I prefer that of all the options. If I go to edit section, again, we can adjust the height of the grid blocks to make it more compact, or increase the gaps. Or alternatively, we can make the gaps much deeper. For example, like 40. And this time we can make the sections more condensed, so we have even spacing between each of the sections. Looking at that in hindsight, it's probably too much, so let's drop it back down to 30, maybe even 20, and see how that fits. So play around with it, see how you get on, until you get a design that you're happy with. So that's using line tools. Of course, we can have lines going across all the way. For example, I could take this one. Just going to delete those two blocks because we're going to go with this as our standard format. And let's duplicate this text block here and move it up to the left-hand corner. This gives us a nice, simple but quite effective line effect here, with the line fits centrally to the text. And I'll show you one final effect with this line tool before we wrap up. So I'm going to move that section down, move this down, duplicate it. The only downside to editing some of the content further down the section first before coming back up to the top is that the mobile view will probably have them quite skewed. We're better off kind of having a play around, and once we've got something that we're really happy with, you could then rebuild the section from scratch, just so everything fits in the order, or alternatively, we'll have to go to the mobile view and tweak it to make sure everything fits. So there we go, section heading, aligned to the center, with these lines aligned to the middle either side. A really nice, classy, simple heading section for our content area. I'm going to remove that line below there. We'd probably put a call to action button in on these sections as well. But let's just create our structure now for all three. Move this up. And our content is looking good. Interested to see what you think. Have you used the line tools for more advanced features like this? Anything that you'd like me to cover in particular in future videos? And on that point, we have a community over on School. We have two, in fact. One free community all about website builders with tutorials like this, and an option for us to have an ongoing discussion for our team to jump in and help you as you're getting your head around website builders like Squarespace. If you're looking to take it the next step, we have a premium community that's private. We will jump on video calls with our community every single week to tackle these head on in a supportive group environment. Regardless of whether you are just building your first website and want to know where to start, or you're getting your 50th website live and you're having issues with domain names, we've got you covered. There's information in the description. Otherwise, I'll catch you next time. Cheers.